Hello and welcome to our classes on content writing. I hope you've had a good time so far and you have been practicing what you have been learning. In any case, as usual, you will find the notes of this lecture at the end of this video, and you can always write back to me if you have any questions. So let's get right to it. Today's topic is going to be copywriting. An introduction to copywriting, understanding what copywriting is, the types of copywriting scenarios that you can find yourself in as a copywriter, and the features of a good copywriter. We will also talk about the difference between a digital copywriter and the old school copywriting that had been around before the internet age. And we will talk about the do's and don'ts of copywriting and the relationship between SEO and copywriting. By now I'm sure you would have understood what SEO means. In any case, I will still explain it when we get to that point later in this video. Okay, so the first thing is when we talk about copywriting, we are actually talking about people that write content that is promotional. Copywriting should not be confused with article writing and with blog writing and things like that, because those are usually narratives. They're usually informational, but copywriting aims to promote a particular product or service. But it does not mean going completely head over and becoming very, very promotional. You have to be subtle, you have to be professional, and you have to be controlled. Many content writers who are on Upwork and on other freelance platforms tend to confuse their expectations of the client as a copywriter. If a particular job says that they're looking for a copywriter, then you need to understand that they could be looking for any of these kinds of content. It could be a web page, it could be a flyer, it could be sales pages, advertisements, Facebook ads, Google ads. It could be ebooks that are promotional about a particular service. It could be product descriptions, billboards, emails, and even catalogs, brochures, and things like that. We categorize all of these as copywriting stuff. So as a copywriter, as a professional writer, you must know how to do copywriting. It's part of the deal. You can't just be, of course, you can't just say you don't want to learn copywriting. At some point or the other, you will come across a scenario where someone would ask you to write a copy for them. And the main thing you need to keep in mind is that a copywriting document has to have a persuasive tone, because you have to have the content that will tell people why they should buy or consider buying that product or service or hiring that particular person. And one important element of a copy has to be a call to action. You must include sentences like buy now, learn more, shop now. Somewhere along the line, somewhere in the copy it should be there. In some cases there might even be a button, depending on the design of the copy. Some brochures that are digital have buttons, web copies have buttons that anybody can click on and take an action. So as a copywriter, you need to know all these things. Now let's talk about the features of a good copywriter, because as a copywriter there are some things that you will have to master and improve on yourself. Okay, so what I can just do is give you some tips that I have. And the first thing I would recommend is knowing your landscape and mastering the art of writing, because you see, as a writer you need to be very clear about what you want to do. If you are promoting something, do not sound confused or lacking in information. Do not be vague, be clear about it, and try to understand what you are promoting. Do your own research on what you are promoting, learn more about it. One interesting thing about being a content writer is that you get to learn a lot of things and explore a lot of things. So I will recommend that to be a very good copywriter, you always keep your mind open to doing a lot of research and learning and reading about what you are writing. You need to find out what type of copywriter you want to be, because some people are very, very good, some people are just not into copywriting and they would rather focus on other aspects of content like ebooks, articles, blogs. So you need to first find out if you are up for this. Not everyone has a talent to do everything, so you need to find out if it is a strong suit in you. And the third tip I would like to give is to be realistic with your expectations. What I mean by this is, do not overestimate the outcome of your copywriting. Like, don't just conclude that, oh, I've written something excellent and it's going to sell, because sometimes the market does not really react to how you want them to, or how you assume they would react, and that comes with a lot of disappointment. So make sure you have realistic expectations from what copy you are writing, from whatever you're writing in the copy. Research the company and the person you are applying to. That means if you are looking for work on Upwork or freelancer.com or all these platforms, research the company or the person you're writing about and see what it is he or she is selling. Feel free to ask questions if possible. Engage them and get as much information as you need in order to be able to be sure that you want to do this job. Because if you do not, you might end up losing the client. It might be a bit disappointing for you, disappointing for the client. You can always avoid that scenario by actually doing some research on your own. Use social media to build up a relationship. You see, if you are a solo writer, I always recommend creating a social media profile of your own, like maybe a page, and try to build a relationship with potential clients through social media if possible. That's a very good approach. And do not oversell yourself. Do not sound like too overconfident, or just do not go too low to just get the job. Don't oversell yourself, basically. And don't make spelling or grammar mistakes when you write copies. Be very, very cautious about it. Proofread your copy 2-3 times before submitting it to the client or posting it online. Be prepared to write a test piece. Sometimes clients do require it. Actually, most of the times they would want you to show them a sample of what you can do. They might even give you a test right there on the spot. So be open to that scenario happening. And specialize, pick a niche. Maybe you're good with products related to beauty and makeup. Focus on those. Maybe you're very good with shoes and footwear and things like that. Focus on that. Maybe you're very good into about health and social works and things like that. So specialize in some kind of copywriting that you are very good at, because of course we all come from different backgrounds, different academics. Some people have a medical degree even, and this resort to freelancing. So find something that you can specialize in, and do not ever give up, because copywriting is a very challenging field, and it's all about learning and growing. So you will get rejections, you will get disappointments, but you can't give up. You have to continue going forward. Keep applying, keep trying, because you learn only when you write, and the more you write, the more you fail, the more better you will become. Let's talk about digital copywriter and traditional copywriter. The difference is that when we talk about traditional copywriter, there are people who wrote newspapers, hard copies, basically advertisements, pamphlets, or even ads for the television and videos, and their writing style and tone was different based on their manual copies and how people would read it. At that time, the way people read English, or even if it is your own native language, it must be different as compared to now. In the digital age, people are usually in need of information and they want quick information. So there are particular things that we need to keep in mind while writing copies. Keep it short, keep it crisp, and of course keywords play a very important role in copywriting, because it's all about promotion, and competing online is very, very difficult without using keywords. So as a copywriter, you must pitch the potential or the target audience using those keywords, and of course add a call to action. Try to engage them with the information you have, and make sure that the content is social media friendly, because there are higher chances that whoever you're writing for, or even if you're writing for yourself, you will end up sharing that information on social media, because everybody depends on social media nowadays. And I'm sure you must have seen a lot of advertisements on social media. Sometimes they are in the form of videos, even if it is an app you are playing on, Facebook games, Candy Crush, these kind of things. They always have ad copies popping up on your screen here and there, and if you notice, they are usually keyword focused, short and crisp sentences, just to the point. Images and the text have to go in line together. So there are these technicalities that you will have to keep in mind. And do not forget that the target audience plays an important role in deciding how your content has to be. And when we talk about digital copywriters generally, they must have experience with all kinds of content online, especially web pages, web copies, pamphlets. You will end up finding yourself writing infographics if you are a copywriter. Infographics are also a very good way of selling products and services. Email marketing is also a very essential aspect of copywriting, because in countries like the US and UK, people actually depend on emails for information, and they subscribe, they sign up for email newsletters and things like that. So as a copywriter, you will have to learn how to write very good emails and even video scripts. Sometimes bloggers also look for writers to hire them. Some people also prefer to just use the articles as a promotional tool. So all these fall under copywriting. I will also explain some do's and don'ts of copywriting, and the do's are: make sure you know the target audience. I cannot stop insisting on the importance of understanding your target audience, because without having a good understanding on whom you are going to address, you might tick off the audience. Suppose if it is teenagers and you write very complex information, teenagers will not be able to reason with it, and it's a waste of effort. They will take no interest in your products or service. So you have to throw in a language that is very, very enticing for teenagers. And if you are supposed to target aged people, professional people, and you end up writing as if you're writing for teenagers, they would be like, what the hell is this? And they might not even take an interest in your copy at the end of the day. So to avoid that kind of, and your employer, if you're working for someone, will not take it easy, because you're wasting his money, and you have to be very, very serious with this when it comes to copywriting. Also, you must have a clear call to action, and that means you must tell them to buy this, recommend it. It doesn't mean you should recommend it in every single paragraph. Do not just and do not repeat it on and on and on again until it becomes really annoying. You can mention it like twice in the content, thrice in a content, depending on the length of the content. Ask them to subscribe for it, ask them to share or even donate if it is a cause, and try to give them a direction to act. Another thing you must do is choose the right fonts. Always stick to the standards that are acceptable. Usually it's Calibri, size 11, 12, Times New Roman, German, things like that. You can always Google it. You can always see which fonts are acceptable, because readability is very important in copywriting. If you choose very, very twisted handwritings, it will not be appealing, because most people cannot strain their eyes to read. Some people have eye problems and things like that. Keep your writing bold and visible and clear. Always do some research, and that means looking up the competition for whoever you're writing for. Even if it is your own business and you're writing for it, you must know what your competition is doing. Google allows you to see everything online, so check your competitors' website, explore what they're doing, check their advertisements, look for ads on Google, ad copies, email samples, things like that. Look for ebook copies of your competitors and things. Don't even hesitate to sign up or subscribe to their email copies, so that you can have an idea about what they're doing, and try to plan your own sales strategy ahead of them. Also, you must be distinct. Do not copy paste, or do not copy the same voice of your competitor brand. Be distinct and catchy. Have your own personality. Let people know you for whom you are, and be original. When we talk about the don'ts of copywriting, do not ignore the importance of a plan. You must have a plan before you start writing. Plan out the titles of your postings, your copies, whatever you're writing, chapter by chapter, article by article, web page by web page. Plan it out completely. Do not write without a target audience. Like I said, you can't take this very lightly. Having a target audience is very, very important. Then we are talking about, don't make long and awkward sentences. One mistake most writers make is they end up writing sentences that are entire paragraph long. You might see sentences as long as this without any full stop anywhere, and that is wrong. Keep your sentences short. It's a standard rule. Do not exceed 20 words per sentence, and keep it very, very easy to understand. Do not use extremely complex vocabulary that is meaningless and awkward in the end. And don't forget to proofread. You must proofread your work, check for spelling mistakes, dot your I's and cross your T's, and make sure that the words are meaningful and not senseless. Now the next point is very important. As I mentioned earlier, keywords play a very important role in online marketing. So you must have an understanding about how SEO works. Search engine optimization is a strategy we use using keywords in the content, because Google tends to rank web pages or copies that have those keywords in a higher density than the competitors. And if you are writing for someone, you need to know what keywords work for their business and promote them accordingly. So the SEO specialist will definitely give it to you. This is not your responsibility. The SEO experts will assign the keywords to you, and you must make use of those keywords in the SEO copy or in the advertisement or whatever you are writing. There are some without SEO writing, there are two major setbacks that copywriting have, because like I said, there will be no ranking for quality keywords. If you do not use quality keywords, there will be no ranking. Visitors will not turn up on the websites because Google will not show that copy for the relevant keyword if you haven't used any. So it's a waste of efforts. Defining SEO copy. Here you'll find a bit more of an explanation on what SEO copy means and what you need to know as a copywriter. It is an art that you need to master, because you have to be persuasive and make sure that the content is Google friendly. Even though you will be given keywords to use, you cannot overuse them to make the content spammy. So you have to write content effectively using the keywords in a meaningful way. And here are 3 ways SEO copy can help. It can help you get the right attention, more clicks and conversions. And this is why if you are working for someone as a copywriter, they will expect you to write meaningful content to get the right attention, something that will attract more clicks with the right call to action, and something that will lead to conversions eventually. Better on-page SEO, because you will be given keywords, you have to write meaningful blogs that will go on the website, and you must balance the content for Google and the visitors. You have to make sure that it is good both ways. You do not need to make it harmful so that Google penalizes the website, and you must not write it in a very boring way to lose the visitors or tick them off either. Copywriting is important because it helps you rank for target keywords. So here is a brief about what SEO writing is, and I have explained that this form of content writing focuses on the following aspects: how to drive relevant traffic to the website, increase sales for your company website, how to defeat your competitor, how to get to the top 10 on Google searches, maybe even top 3 if it is very good, if the SEO team is very good and they have spent enough time doing the research and given the right keywords, how to enhance brand popularity for your product or service, and it must be able to give you a good insight into social media and the following, it should enhance it. You should be able to create more following on these platforms. SEO or search engine optimization means making a website visible on Google and other search engines. I've explained that already. However, it is not that simple. Yes, it takes a lot of time. It is not easy. And as a copywriter or as a content writer, this is not your responsibility. This has to be the SEO expert's responsibility to provide the keywords for you. But making use of those keywords to create good content is your responsibility. So you have to make sure you do your research, write meaningful content. And I have given some writing steps that a copywriter must follow for SEO content, and they include using the primary keyword in the main title. You must make an interesting and informational title using that keyword, and you must do your research and study the website, because your client must have a website. So unless you understand what your client is offering, you can't succeed in creating valuable content basically. So So we have to brainstorm as content writers and plan your content to focus on the primary keyword and use the primary keyword in at least one subheading, because when you have content you must break it down into subheadings. I usually insist on not having one subheading with more than 300 words. Keep it to 200 words. After every 200 words, add a subheading. So use the primary keyword in the introduction, that in the first paragraph and in the conclusion. Use the primary keyword in other places in your content as you feel best, especially because if you in this scenario I'm trying to use the 1000 words content for an example. So if you have a 1000 words content, if you use it between 12 to 15 times, then you can achieve a keyword density of 1 to 2%. Like divide 12 by 1000 and multiply it by 100, so you can get like 1.2, 1.3, like that. That's how we calculate keyword density, and you must make sure that the keyword density is this. So after placing your primary keyword in the main title, in the first paragraph, in the conclusion, in at least one subheading, that means you're left with at least 8 to 9 more times of using the keyword. So use it anywhere else in the content as you feel fit, as long as it's not standing out awkwardly and senselessly. And like I said, do not write any paragraph to be longer than 300 words. Always add a subheading so that you break it down. Ideally 200 words is good enough. After every 200 words, 250 words, include a subheading. Usually as a copywriter, the SEO team or whoever is proofreading your content will ask you to bold all the keywords. Your client might ask you to bold all the keywords, so do that. You will have to write a meta description, and I think I have explained this before in the previous lecture, that a meta description is like a summary. It's a short summary, usually ranging from 20 to 30 words. That is 150 to 160 characters with spaces, and you have to use a primary keyword in it. It's just something to the point, summarizing the article, because that is the snippet that Google will show in searches right under the heading of the article. So that is the importance of a meta description, and this also helps with ranking that particular content on Google. And another important feature of the content has to be 100% original. There must be zero plagiarism. There are plagiarism tools like Copyscape, Turnitin, and many others that you can actually look for and buy online. And always go for purchased or paid versions of plagiarism checkers, because the free versions are not that reliable, not in my experience. Make sure they are grammatically correct. Make sure the content is meaningful with great flow and has valuable content. So that is it. We have come to the end of this lecture. Feel free to ask me any questions in your emails, and I will insist on practicing. I will assign a topic on maybe an article and the blog and the copywriting one of these days, maybe in the coming lecture or at the end of this, when we give you an exercise to assess your performance in these lectures. So have a nice day. Thank you for your time.